You're watching the Skateboarding Bros Show. Stories from the pioneers of skateboarding about the history and the fun of the sport we love. Hey guys, welcome and thank you for sitting in with the Skateboarding Bros Show. Today we're going to talk with Dave Adams, a big hero of mine out of California. Came into Tampa and Clearwater back in the early 70s. Was a tremendous impact, and we really appreciate you sitting in. Like us, follow us, share on YouTube and skateboardingbros.com. Thank you.
And I saw some guy go by on a skateboard, and I said, "Hey, where'd you get that thing?" He's like, "Oh, there's a shop in the marina, at the Marina SkatePark, Marina district, and it's called San Francisco Skateboard." So I freaking jumped on the bus for a nickel. I could get anywhere in the city for a nickel student rate, and went down there and got a job. I started working there. I'm like, "Hey man, I want to work here." Wow. So this Japanese guy, Harry, owned the place. He hired me, I think, for like $3 an hour, building skateboards. Nothing electric, no, all manual building skateboards. Every night I go home and my arms were like, "Oh shit, man. My arms hurt from screwing skateboards together all damn day long." And he sold all tons of these little banana boards, those little plastic boards. He's, in the tourist district, but he had some good boards. And he I started saying, "Well, okay, I want that. I want that." Then he hired this dude that worked there, this hippie dude that his name was Terry. And he and I were building skateboards and running the shop. And so one day I told Terry, I think I was 15 years old, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to Winterland tonight to see Bad Company." And he's like, makes this face like, "Oh, fuck. I hate that fucking guy." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, Paul Rogers is the biggest dick, right?" And I said, No, you're full of shit. How do you even know him?" He said, "Oh, I played in the band Free. I played Basin Free, and we played music together since we were kids." And he goes, "And I hate him." I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty heavy, man." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm like, and so you expect me to believe this, and you're working in a skateboard shop for, I'm sure you're making more money than me, but $5 an hour," something like that. He said, I just like skateboards, man. I just want to work around skateboards." I'm like, "I can dig that. All right." So about 20 minutes later, he says, "Oh, by the way, you got backstage passes for tonight, and tell Paul I said to fuck off." Right. So I said, "Okay." So I went in and got to meet Paul Rogers backstage, and I'm like, "Hey, Terry told me to tell you to fuck off." And he goes, "Terry?" And he goes, I'm like, "Yeah, Terry Nails." He's like, "Terry Nails?" He gives me this funny look, and he goes, Oh, you mean Terry Fusil?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I don't know. He goes by Nails to me." So he goes, "Yeah, tell Terry I still love him." And away he went. It was a pretty cool story. And
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked in that shop and, skated for their team a little bit. Didn't really have a real good competitive. Harry wasn't really into building a team or stuff. He just gave you shirts and said, "You ride for the team." I'm like, "Well, we're going to compete. We're going to go to these contests or what?" I think I went to the Northern California Skateboard Championships in the Cow Palace and ran the slalom run on this plywood ramp that they urethaned. It was like sliding down there was no grip, just none. If you could make that run, if you made the run, you were like fucking unbelievably good. I mean, only 2 guys made the whole run without either falling or just sliding through 3 cones. I put Road Rider 2s on. I'm like, I'm going to try and slow down and just try and get through this course on a Fiberflex. I still have that old Fiberflex too.
But that's like when you're 8 years old and things happen in your life and you start doing stuff. That's really that's exciting. It's like Jimmy, the Greek. He's 7, 8 years old, and all of a sudden he's bought into the skateboarding world. But I was out in California. I was in San Francisco a couple of years ago, in the Cow Palace. I thought I saw that thing still standing off in the distance someplace. So I think that building is still there.
Yep, I think it is.
So Dave, real quick, I want to bounce back to that Terry Nails story just because I know a little bit more about it. So you're familiar obviously from an early young period of your life with Terry Nails. I think that we had a conversation about this before. What other things has Terry done in the skateboard world besides working at the shop that he started?
Well, Terry got big into downhill, man, and he was just, that was his scene. We actually started running this street called Jackson Street, and I had a like 48-inch Santa Barbara skateboard with Bennett's and those big ass Sims bull riders to fly down that hill.
It was
that wide. They were good for that. I liked it.
Dave, real quick, sorry, I'm kind of weird like that. Real quick, how old were you right then? Around?
So 15, 16, like right in that age group. So it was between 9th and 10th grade. Matter of fact, between 10th and 11th grade, I think. It was when I was in 10th grade going to urban school. Jackson Street was right up over the back of it, and I found it, and it had a 4-way stop at the bottom. It was a steep, smooth blacktop hill that flattened out and then went to a mellow hill and then up. And that mellow hill to up was no intersection. You just kind of could run it out, run out your 40-mile-an-hour run. I went through that intersection on my ass a couple of times. I was wobbling out at the bottom. Oh shoot, I gotta tighten these things up more.
So real quick, I want to jump in a little bit more about the whole Terry Nails thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, and the reason why is because, and I know that you and I have talked about this before, but Terry Nail was actually instrumental in creating Thunder trucks and the imagery of Thunder skateboard trucks.
That's right.
The original Thunder trucks had all the little trinkets on the base plates of their trucks. Hold on, I got a sec.
No kidding.
Imagine that.
So literally what happened was Terry, while they were making the molds to make those trucks, ran down to a kiosk, little one of those little vendor stalls with the trinkets with earrings and rings and crappy silver, went and bought them and stuck them into the base plates of the molds. And that's why Thunder had all those funky shapes.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. I know he built that Stroker Mobile, that crazy contraption that I'm like, oh, you're not going to get in that thing, are you? You're going to go down that hill in that? Oh, man.
What was that? One of those like bicycle skateboard with a funnel around it?
It was a complete metal housing, like a dragster. And he got in and closed the thing and went down the hill like this.
Like Hester did? Henry Hester made them? Something like that.
There's the salamander.
That's rad. Still got a set of.
What you got there, Tim? Show us the parts on there. What's up?
So this is actually a stage 2 or 3, rather, Thunder, but the base plates always stayed the same. And the really interesting thing that I always thought of Thunder trucks was Thunder trucks were sort of like the testing ground for the next version of the Indies.
Is there any validity to that?
Well, you got to think about the shape.
Turned and that thing didn't.
So how do you adjust that? You got the bushings.
They changed the angle, okay, and made it much more like the Stage 5. And if you look at the shape of this, it looks like a Stage 5 Indy.
Yeah, well, what trucks were you running on that board that you were going down the hill with?
Bennett.
Bennett Pros. Bennett.
Pros. Big.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it was Pros. Maybe not. Maybe just Bennett's.
So good, so many hills.
The hijackers.
San Francisco, you had the Balboa that went right down the Ocean Beach. Balboa down the beach, down to the bottom.
So cool.
Yeah, San Francisco. Wow.
It's a great place to skate. That's for sure. It was cool. I cherish my time that I spent there, and I've got some good friends that I'm still connected.
So, Dave, you got wound up around 8 years old. Is this what happened with you?
Well, that's when it got in my head, and I knew when I moved back to the city and saw somebody ride us on a skateboard, I'm like, I got to have one of those here. If I'm living here, I got to have one of those.
What do we got?
Really, I didn't want a car. I could get anywhere on my skateboard or bus for a nickel. What was really cool was, and when I left San Francisco Skateboards and went to ride for Ted Maskell over at 9th Street, which became Cal Precision, but it was called 9th Street Skate Shop. And at the bottom of 9th Street, you could catch a bus for a nickel to the top of like almost to where Twin Peaks. It's Twin Peaks that are up there. And then you could skate down through these neighborhoods, hit all these bank driveways, jumps, come all the way back down to the shop, and with a transfer, get on the bus and go back up. It was like a 5-cent ski lift.
Your own chairlift. That's
go up and skate down.
Wait, Tim, what's going on? What is so funny? I need to know more about this.
Oh no, that's great. The ski lift. That's what.
That
like
it's not in powder form.
No.
It only lasted 4 hours though. That was kind of cheap, for a nickel. I think you were pretty much done skating. The only problem with the city was, if it was foggy, you weren't skating because it was wet. You had to go.
Oh.
We had a couple of parking garages downtown that we'd go hit on the weekends if it was foggy and wet or rainy in the winter. Found a couple.
How did you handle security at a parking garage?
We didn't get hassled. Weekends, no one was using them. Nobody hassled us. Elevators.
Nobody knew what they were seeing, so they didn't.
Nobody really. Yeah, we didn't damage stuff. Didn't leave a mess, and just came in and skated. And
so this was pre-criminal skateboarding era.
Yeah.
You weren't a criminal yet.
Not in that city. The cops weren't too concerned with skateboarders. They were concerned with other things.
That's illegal in that area.
Yeah, they didn't even hassle you for weed back then. They just gave us a hard time for trying to get the bums to buy us beer. Hey, you kids, stop doing that.
At 8 years old, that's pretty advanced.
No, we were 15.
Oh, 15.
Okay.
That's my era.
Yeah, out of all the shit, they harsh you out of all the shit of getting the beers from the guys.
Yeah.
Go to the mission. Go to the mission area. You can really find some fucked up shit.
Not in the mission. Oh, tenderloin. Woo.
So what you write that like? So you had your house like you said you were going back and forth to California and there. So your grandma was back home in Florida.
My grandmother has owned this house that I own now. She bought it in 1960. My mom bought it in 1981, and I bought it in 1993. So my late wife and I bought it together.
Was it $1 each time, or how?
I paid $137.
Oh, that's cool.
Don't even tell us how much it's worth.
For that location, dang.
1.23.
Wow, dude.
Billion?
No.
Yeah. What's the name of the curvy road in San Francisco everybody drives down?
Lombard, yeah.
Did you tell me you could skate down that and slide it and just pull it off the whole way?
Absolutely. We did.
When did you master that? When was that?
Oh man, I ate shit so many times, but I made it a couple of times. A lot of guys did. You had to use the right wheels because you have to be. It's like falling down a steep snowboard hill. You have to slide.
So he's drifting.
And you're hitting bricks, so you have to kind of go at an angle, and yeah. So, and then you can cut up onto the sidewalks and come down. Skating straight down the street, no way. No way.
So tell us, you moved back and forth across the country, and then at some point you came. I mean, George and I are getting fired off of the Clearwater SkatePark survey crew, and they build a park, and you show up and kill it. Now, how did all of that happen?
Well, I still had a little bit left in San Francisco.
Oh,
so
please.
Just a couple of quick things.
Oh, please do, yeah.
Back in the city. So, we saw the mags, saw the pools, started looking. We skated this pool over in Corte Madera called the Paul Daly, which was like 12 and a half feet deep with 5 feet of vert and just gnarly. And this dude, Dan Rubio, we show up and this guy is killing this pool in the corners, grinding coping through the corners. And I'm like going, what the? I'm like, okay, I could do something like this. But so started skating the pool, his lines, started hitting the corner, coming down 5 feet of vert. This is on skinny ass little boards too. You know, I mean, we're on skinny little boards, 7-inch. And so we skated that pool for a couple of weeks. We had to bus over. It cost $1.50 to do that one. The bus over from the city to go find that pool, and then skate a couple of miles in to where it was, and skate it and come back and go. There were some spillways out in Marin too that we skated at Kent Lake Spillway, which had these giant 40-foot like bear-like walls, but it wasn't downhill. It was just flat, and it was a spillover. And then it went to a 300-foot death cavern, same 40-foot walls, because the water off Mount Tam would do that. We'd skate that one, and Bon Tempe Spillway that was up in the hills. That was really cool. That was a really fun ditch. And then one day we were in a van driving down the freeway in San Francisco, and I looked and I saw this empty square pool, little rectangular pool. I'm like, holy shit, did you see that? There's this empty pool right back there, man. We got to go find that thing. And my buddy's like, we got to go in the day. I said, yes, Sunday morning while they're all asleep. Let's go scope it out. It was in the Fillmore, deep. So
is that a bad area?
A few white kids skating with long hair, skating down in through the Fillmore, and I knew right where it was, man. I'm like, I know right where that is. So we pull up, and I find this alleyway, and we go down, and there it is behind this fence. We're like, holy crap! It looks like the transitions are skatable. Let's see. And there's a couch in there, and there's all kinds of shit. But this guy comes out, and he goes, "Hey, what are you fucking kids doing back there?" And we're like, "Hey, man, we're just looking at this pool, and are you responsible for this thing?" And he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, we'll clean it up if we can skate it." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "We won't skate at times that cause any problems. Like, you know, we'll skate at times when it's cool with you." And I said, "But just we want to empty it and skate it." And he's like, "Go ahead." And I'm like, "Well, what can we do with all the garbage? And do you have any buckets?" And he's like, "I got a couple of buckets." And he throws a couple buckets down. He goes, "You can stack that couch and all that shit up out in the front street." We start bucketing this thing out, and it's kind of cold. It's California. It's San Francisco. So it's cold, and you're trying not to get wet, but you're getting wet, and fuck it, you know, just get it. We got that thing emptied, and then, you know, it's like, damn, we need like rags or something to wipe this shit, you know, this shit off the walls. You guys like, you got any rags? The guy gave us everything to clean the pool up. So me and two buddies, Curtis and Tracy, skated that thing for a week without anyone else knowing about it. And then finally I said, I guess we're going to have to let the guys at 9th Street know, aren't we? And they're like, oh, man. So I let the cat out of the bag. And then Hugh Holland came up and from Trans World and did a ride around shooting photos and took him to the Jungle Bowl. And that Joe Fong got in Trans World. Hugh Holland stole my paper that I wrote for school and used all my words.
No way.
But he put Joe Fong in the mag. And I had this Tubes t-shirt on, fucking long, wild ass hair. And he had this shot of me with sweat going off my hair. And he didn't use it.
White Tubes on, Paul.
And he lost that photo. I said, Hugh, where are those photos from the Jungle
Way to go, Hugh.
I know all about losing photos.
Huh?
I know all about losing photos. I had thousands of photos stolen out of my storage bin, you know, gone. It just sucks. But
anyway,
here's a case of a 15-year-old doing something cool. And I always thought school should be based on your hobby, because your hobby, you know, you learned about gravity, you learned about geometry, you learned about this, but regular school is bullshit. If you have a hobby, you go do anything you can to do that, and that's what you guys did. That was cool.
Well, anyway, so shortly after, huh?
That was the Jungle Bowl?
That was the Jungle Bowl. Little small rectangular pool, about, I think it was only 7.5 feet deep, super tight, but it was so much fun. I've got a video of me skating it.
Well, we want to see that. You need to round up some of these guys you mentioned and bring them on the show and have a retrospective of San Francisco back in the day.
So we need to
Yeah,
file
Joe
a suit
Fong
for
would be the guy.
plagiarism.
Joe Fong would be the dude to talk to. He's cool.
That'd
He's a
be
good
fun.
dude. Joe is
Sounds incredibly familiar, Dave.
Joe was an independent guy. He was friends with Fausto and Blackheart, and he got all he was definitely cool. I met Blackheart down in Palo Alto at the Orange Bowl, and came up on that pool that we found out about, and he was just doing these front side carves through, like, over the death box through the whole kidney. I was like, oh my God, look at this dude, man. I mean, I was one of the better skaters in the city, but man, when you ran into guys like that, you were like,
Is
man,
today's generation still jumping fences and going finding spots to skate, or is it more civilized and regulated now?
They build them on sidewalks in St. Petersburg now.
well, now the problem is there's cameras everywhere.
Oh yeah, right.
There's the problem. Thank God they didn't have that when we were kids. Jeez.
So
I'd have been at
Zach,
the post office.
so you started out $1.50 bus riding to a 12.
Marin. And then, but when I got to be 16, I'd get my mom's car. We'd drive to, Palo Alto to skate the Orange Bowl, or over to the ditches in Marin, and or out. We'd go skate in the streets of Berkeley and go hit the Lawrence Hall of Science, which had these cool banks off the sidewalk. You could hit them for about like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then they'd chase you off.
This is a broad range of terrain to skate. Yeah. It's really amazing.
It was, everything was changing so fast in skateboarding in the 70s. And then, my mom and my dad said, my mom and my stepdad said, hey, we need to talk. And they said, and I said, about what? We don't talk. They said, well, we're moving to Vermont. And I said, who the hell is we? I'm like, I'm not going to Vermont. So I called my granny and said, hey, Grandma, can I come finish high school in Florida and live with you? And she said, you know what? I could really use your help. Your grandfather's pretty sick. He's probably maybe got a year left, and I need your help. Did I lose you guys?
No, you're here. Okay. Tim's just started putting stuff on the screen.
Okay, cool. So anyway, I ended up coming to Florida, and was kind of bummed about the skate scene, but was skateboarding around the area where I could, places I knew.
There's no hills in Florida.
No, there's no hills, but so I started building some ramps out in my backyard, some janky ass ramps that I could just do something on. And I met Jeff France. I met
this
Raph.
Is awesome.
Yeah. Raph lived right up the street, and my surf buddies, Randy and James, we were all skating. And then I heard that, hey, they're building a skate park in Clearwater. I'm like, what? Really? Sweet. So I'm like, where's it going to be? I started digging, man. I got to find out about this thing, because I had taken trips out to the skate park in Sacramento, made a trip down to Carlsbad for the USGP of motocross, and camped out for 5 days right after they opened Carlsbad. And basically, because of the traffic for the race, most of the skaters just kind of didn't want to make the trek out there. So my buddy Tom Hogan and I had Carlsbad skate park to ourselves a couple of evenings, just like hardly anyone there, 2-3 people.
That was classic park. Carlsbad was classic.
So surfy and fun, and I remember doing bunny hops out of the deep end, grabbing both ends of my the board and doing bunny hops out. That was like, yeah. And we were camping 150 yards away from the park. It was right there by where the track was. So when I came out and heard Clearwater was building that park, I went out there and saw the survey trailer, and I walked into the trailer, and that's where I met George. And I'm like, hey, dude, what's happening? He's like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, I heard there's going to be a skate park here. He goes, yeah, I'm part of the survey team. It's like, well, what's it going to look like? Well, here's what it's going to look like. I'm like, holy cow, that's freaking huge. That's a lot of concrete. Who's paying for all this? I wondered. But anyway, it was the greatest thing that ever happened, man. Having that skate park, Clearwater was so much fun.
So
obviously-
Tim, who's in the picture here? Is that George up in there?
Yeah, we got George, we got Mr. Blomy. Oh, I'm sorry, Womble, Tony Cody. And I think up here in this one, can you see my mouse pointer up here?
Yes.
yeah,
I think that's Jimmy up there in the white Premier.
Oh wow!
I think
Let's see.
that is that
So-
JB. That's JBM. John had a Santana helmet like
No,
that.
John is under the stairs somewhere, and
Okay,
he winds up under there.
Samota's down on the bottom right.
It's Shoemaker
That's Jimmy right there. I'm pretty
and
good.
Oh, it does kind of look like him.
Sondergrass.
Yep, Todd. That's me.
That was the night
Okay.
Look
I
at that
went-
little wooden board there on the right, the lower right. That's like solid wood.
I think that was GBM's.
we were all polishing our helmets. We were given helmet buffs.
I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, hey, dude, I'm not in on that.
That the next day I went to college.
The board with the white PowerFlex wheels, that's my board.
Oh, that right there?
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
There you are.
If those were PowerFlex or they were Technologies.
No, they were white PowerFlex.
I have a picture somewhere with Dave in there. He came in the spot over there, but in front of Todd with the yellow and orange socks. That's Steve Fisher with the PowerFlex shirt. Tony
Where's
Simonis.
Steve?
Right here.
Oh yeah.
He was angry then.
There's issues. There's issues there.
He was angry until a new
Love you,
person.
Steve. Love you, man.
He's got a good sport now. He rides bicycles across the state of Florida for
Hey.
fun on dirt trails
He
in the
tears it
summer.
up, man. He's a badass on that
Peace
bike.
out, not doing it. So this was just outside the back of Clearwater Skateboard Park.
On the steps going up to the top.
Yep. To the observation booth. And the little
I think I was up on that top roof for meditation many times.
Safety meetings.
So tell us about this, Dave.
I think that's the demo at Dunedin High.
So what spawned that and how did that come about?
No, I don't know. We just did goofy shit on skateboards, you know. Hey, I can jump from this board to that board.
Oh no. I mean so did Dunedin High reach out to Clearwater SkatePark for the team to come? How did that occur?
That was probably Muriel. Muriel was the tour director. She set up all kinds of wild, fun stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah,
So we're gonna roll through this. Is that George there?
that's George and I jumping over some other Suda, and I don't know who the other folks might be.
There was other demos though going on too that, like you said, Dave. I remember those other demos. Some on the down on Clearwater Beach though too.
Yeah.
Same setup, bringing the quarter pipe there, and
Yep.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun back then. That team was a lot of fun.
I saw you guys right there. That last photo, you guys recruited some girls or something going on here. What's going on here?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was Crystal laying down in there?
It could have been.
I don't know.
That was a difficult persuasion.
So Dave, I'm just going to roll through these and honestly, just give us your input. Let's talk about this. So this looks like pre Clearwater days. Simply because no.
Demo. That's the demo at Dunedin High.
So it was did you guys have a plexi extension or was it a full plexi ramp?
So they built that with the plexiglass extension. The little quarter pipe had the top 2 feet were plexiglass. Maybe it was 20 inches. And yeah, it was kind of cool. I think that was right before they put the plexiglass extensions on the pipe at the park.
It may have even been that plexiglass.
I think plexiglass hadn't been around that long. Plexiglass was a new thing, and that's pretty cool.
So I want to comment about the riser pad as a skid plate here.
You needed that for that slippery ass plexiglass. If you put your tail on that, you'd fall on your ass. So I would use that to stop up on the, to do a tail block with that.
That was just a quarter pipe, right?
That was way more durable than the plastic or wood things that they actually utilized at that time and sold to the public.
True.
Sorry, just random observation.
No, it looks like rector pads on there with the plastic.
That's one of my favorite picks you just showed.
So
yeah, those are Norcons.
Right?
Norcon, okay. Looks like I've got a big bushy hair, but that's actually the pine tree, I think.
Yeah, and that caster. Oh man, that caster.
Looks like I was riding trackers at that point right there, but I didn't ride trackers long. I went to Independence and never changed.
Well, by the time that this was happening, I mean, like,
Indies weren't out. Yeah,
Indies weren't out. Like the next year, when boards got about 8 inches wide versus what this thing was, like, because the 109s and the 88 were the first sizes of the Indies, and then immediately they came out with the 121s and the 131s because Bobby Valdez was riding them, Olson was riding them, and they were riding closer to pig style shapes. And there ain't no way. I mean, Tracker didn't have a truck big enough at that point in time, and he was quick on that game.
I just want to point out that nose grab on that. It's hard to see, but
I see that.
All right,
I'm speaking out
under too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a lean grind. Whoever the photographer was, he's a little late, but we'll cut him a little slack. But that's definitely a lean frontside grind. No,
the ramp is janky too because it was a quarter pipe, but it stopped curving when it got to the bottom of the plexi and was just a flat extension.
But I want to point this out in this photo that it's not just from this bar to this bar that's plexiglass, because you can see it. I bet that was close to a 4-foot sheet of plexi, not just a little 2-foot sheet, because you can see everything under
buildings. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, good eye, Tim.
Well, I can guarantee you that when Dave had all the experiences that he had in San Francisco and he came to Clearwater, and when we saw the how big was the half pipe at Clearwater SkatePark? 8 foot?
Yeah, a little under 7'10", something like that.
And it had
8 foot.
Had a 1/4 inch vert almost.
In there until the vert wall got built up.
A couple of the lumps had more vert than others.
Oh yeah.
Is that what happened with that plexiglass situation? Did the plexiglass here? If you like you said, Dave. So you got the plexiglass, and you guys were like, "Well, let's make some extensions on the half pipe." Or what was up with that? Like they were just
maybe they bought the plexiglass for the half pipe to build that and had left over and built this. But I can't remember. George probably would have a better recollection of that because he was,
the owners didn't think that.
So he had more input.
So I mean, I personally was not there for this, but which came first, the brick wall or the plexi?
Plexi.
The plexiglass was all by itself. I have a video of me wheeling it on a board like this, and it's just 2 sheets of plexiglass that are only 3 feet wide. Right. They're not even 4 feet wide.
So none of the owners, there was 3 couples that owned that park, and not one of them believed that anyone would ever get to the top.
And I was out the top like the second day. I put wheels out the top the second day it was up.
Yeah.
So Dave, let's go through. So here's that ramp, that same ramp. Is that also you and GBM?
That's us dropping in on that ramp. That was sketchy to get up there.
So I was wondering, is this screwed together, nailed together, untreated plywood, untreated pine 2x4s? It's
Yes.
going to fall apart in no time.
So,
We're skinny kids.
might I ask, is that actually PVC on the top of that?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay,
think it was
so it's-
PVC.
It could just be like medical tape.
Burlap.
Burlap, yeah, really.
Burlap.
Yeah. You know, because it looks like it's peeling and it doesn't look like duct tape. That's why I'm asking.
There may be some nails holding that on there.
Oh, tell me about this shot though, because was that pre-set up or was that a real deal there?
That was in the demo, part of the demonstration.
Nice, very synchronized, a regular June Taylor dancer kind of bit here.
And I think GBM's rocking the Jaffa helmet, and you've got the Norcon on there.
Yep.
What's on GBM's left calf?
That just looks like,
Oh, his elbow pad. Okay.
well, isn't it? Oh, yeah, that's one of those Coopers.
Oh, Cooper's. That goes back.
Two-tone elbow.
Oh, gnarly.
Two-tone elbow.
I remember all that crap. But
Two-tone elbow.
Yes, I see it.
SIO. Is that SIO hip pad?
No.
Nah, that doesn't look like SIO.
I think that's
Very
just,
hip.
Pre-SIO.
Is it? Is pre
Yeah.
pre?
Pre-SIO.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
pre. Yeah.
are they Rutgers?
They're Rector shorts.
Yeah.
And I sewed in, I ironed in a patch so I could keep using them, even though I wore the ass out.
That's cool.
Yep.
Who took that shot? That's a great shot.
And speaking of just dumbass shit that I owned, and similar along the lines of the Rector shorts.
You're in the Pepsi. You're in the Pepsi.
Mad Rats.
Mad
Mad Rats.
And those were yours when you were what?
Look at them. They're for children.
With the giant web fucking crotch on
It's
the
like
back.
made out of like fucking. It's like
It's
a fucking.
Cordura.
Yeah, it's like gnarly. You fucking. They should make ass.
I still have the pads for these things too.
That's
Hold
what.
that up again. I can't really see it. Hold
Perfect.
that-
Dave said, "Fuck those little stupid ass colored pants you got. I'm putting them in my six.
All right.
Those we're putting the pad in."
I've got a pair of the original SIO hip pads, but the belt is not.
Oh, the girdles?
Yeah, the girdle. I've got the girdle.
All right. I'll go get I've got one. I'm going to go get it.
They'll be knocking the berry pad.
Really?
You want me to go
Barry
get it?
was ahead of the game there.
Barry was the first hipster. Just look at the mustache, man. You know, that guy could be running around on a fixed gear bicycle at this point in time.
I really think it'd be fun to find some of the gang you used to skate with and see if they're still lucid or not. And that'd be fun to put them on the show.
Oh, where's that?
Oh, hold on. We're gonna go slightly in time frame here because
Then go back to that one.
is this fucking
Log cave-ins.
yeah.
Is that the Kobe?
Huh?
It was a spit gutter with like a 6-inch fucking piece of coping above it.
Yeah, and on a Z Flex with multicolored Power Flex 5s, and
Are you sure that's a Z Flex and not a flight?
I never rode a flight. That's a Z
It's like
Flex.
a flight logo.
Wait, what?
I've got no. Look at the back end of it. Look at the tail. That's all blue fiberglass.
That's that Clearwater pool, Dave?
Oh, I
That's that Clearwater Beach pool. Yep.
Yeah, you brought me there. You
Oh
and
yeah. I brought the whole team there. George and I. We brought you guys all there to help empty it.
Okay.
Remember, there was fish in the damn thing when we emptied the thing.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I kind of don't remember, but I'm sure you guys had me doing the gnarly shit. Hopefully, I was learning.
Yeah.
You dang
How
sure
do you-
did.
How do you think you got to be so fucking rad?
I know. I mean, I owe it to you guys, man. I mean, from the last show, you've seen it. You guys, and you paid.
Hey,
it showed me how rad skateboarding was at those years. Now we'll do it till we're dead, man, and that's what we're doing, man.
That's exactly right, man.
Oh yeah, but this is a great shot though, because we talked about all the pools that Dave skated, and then George cut the ladders off of this pool, the municipal pool, and sold them to rent the pumps to empty this pool. And it was the first pool that I skated. I don't know if George had skated another one. And Dave was showing us, and I'm like, there's a death box everywhere. I was like, why am I concerned about that? I'm not going to get up there. I mean, I'm not even, it was just, and then, before I knew it, I'm up there and I'm like, oh, I lived, it was amazing. And Dave, you look at the style, he's got the arms and everything about it, the way he skated, it's like, yeah, just hated it. If I lived through my run, I was happy. And then would watch him do it, and it looked like it was perfectly choreographed and everything was stylish. And I was like, well, I want to skate like that. And I never could skate like that. So
that was
what was the transition down from there? This was all learning experience now for design.
4 foot of vert.
4 feet of
all
vert.
vert.
Yeah, it was burly.
And at high tide, it leaked, so water came back in.
It was like I think if I remember, because number one, I used to go there as a kid and stay at the hotel, but I'm pretty sure it was like 11 foot deep, 7 foot trannies with 4 foot of vert.
Wow.
I don't know if there was that much tranny, but there might have been. It seemed really quick because it was a long roll up, right? It was a 25-meter pool.
I was 7.
So it looked gigantic.
Hey, Jimmy, you've been 7 forever, so whatever. So.
Yeah, this time I'm 7 forever.
So Dave, let's talk about this guy right here.
Where are we at?
Yes.
So, well, that's the ramp I built in my backyard. My friend James Fleming and I built that ramp. And it was in my yard first, and that's in Jeff Welch's backyard. That skater, you know who that skater is? I took that picture, but you know who's skating?
He's Goofy.
Foot.
Gregley.
Nope.
Hold on. It's Goofy Foot. Todd Webb.
No, Gregley.
Bingo. Todd Webb. That's Webb's. That's Webb. And the guy standing there, Pat Parker.
No shit.
Rest in peace, Pat.
That's cool. It's got a flat bottom. This is like the beginning of the flat bottom on the ramps.
Well, I built the ramp with it didn't have nearly that much flat bottom, but when we moved it to Jeff's in 3 pieces, put it on a trailer right out here and dragged it with Pat Parker's mom's Vista Cruiser and a trailer that we borrowed and set it up there. It was perfect. And we added 8 feet of flat.
Fucking Vista Cruiser.
It was fucking unbelievable, man. We're going down the road with a ramp on the trailer. We did that twice.
And a lonely cement block in the foreground.
Where did Welch live? Where was that? That's in Clearwater.
Yeah, it was over off of Sunset Point, kind of back in that neighborhood.
Yep. I never skated it. Yeah.
But you had a platform on the left-hand side there, so that's advanced stuff right there.
So is this the same ramp? And by the way, nice spear graphic you got there in the middle section of that board.
Same ramp.
Same ramp?
Yeah, same ramp. So it was 8 foot transitions and it was about 9.5 feet. That's pool coping that George and I chiseled off the turtle bowl. We chiseled that coping off of a pool that was just basically unskateable and fucked up, but it was being demolished. So we chiseled that coping off.
So my next question is this an accurate marker where it says?
Yeah.
No, it was way bigger than that.
30 foot, dude.
9.5 foot wide.
9.5. It was 12 feet wide.
I'm just saying, man. I think that was like 9.5 foot tall.
That ramp is sick.
Sorry, Dave.
What year is this?
Hey, go back to it. Go back to it and look at something really unusual about that ramp. Look at the supports, the slats.
Cut in.
They're notched in 3/4 inch plywood, and there's one in the middle 3/4 inch, and they're all notched and put together. So that thing was like, it didn't budge. When you rode it, it had 3 sheets of plywood here. And when we moved it out to the Grove, we moved it again because his mom said, "Get that fucking thing out of my yard." So I was surveying with Cumbie and Fair and did this survey out off of Keene in Virginia. And they said, "Oh yeah, this is wetland area. Nobody's ever going to build back here in the back of an orange grove." So I'm like, this is a fucking great place to put the ramp. It's up high. There's water down there, but we're going to put the ramp right here. It was so perfect. Put a bunch of couches out there that we got off the road, built platforms, had this beauty pageant staircase up the back that was just, built out of scrap wood. They said, this ramp is the fucking coolest ramp I've ever skated. Even though it's only 12 foot wide, it's like you're in the middle of nowhere. You come off an urban thing, go through an orange grove, and you're back here. He goes, "You guys are fucking rad." Him and Whiteside came up and skated it, and he loved it.
Who is he?
Sat there telling, while John was on one wall, "Okay, do this trick." And he'd go up and do it, and now do that one, and now do that one. Whiteside was just tell him the trick to do, and he'll do them. It was like, how much do we have to pay for this, John?
So the ladder didn't go all the way up to the top, would you? Kind of.
Oh yeah, in another place. We just used that looked like a pallet ladder.
I was going to say that looks like 2 pellets nailed together, dude.
You fucking run up and climb up there yourself. I'm not building you a staircase. We did at the Grove though. It was pretty
good observation. Funny. Yeah, watch out for the brick.
So we got carpeting. We got old carpeting. Whenever we found a roll of carpet, roll it out right next to the ramp so that no dirt would get on the ramp. So
good idea.
Yeah. Had carpet everywhere. And then one day I went out there, Pat and I were headed out to skate, and there's a survey marker right next to the ramp that says CL. I'm like, fuck.
Center line.
Center line. Like,
it's a tear down.
So Dave, what time frame was this? Was this like 81 after the park had closed?
Oh, it was well after the park had closed. I built my ramp because the park was pretty much, done. We snuck in a few times and skated it, but it went away pretty quick.
I think in 84, 85.
Yeah. But that probably
because just judging by that board, yeah, I was gonna say like maybe 83, dude, because you're still rocking the Norcons.
I am. And I think that's a Wiggly. I think that's an Uncle Wiggly. That board.
Awesome.
What year were they?
That was like 82, 83.
Yeah, so that's what that is. I probably built my ramp in like 81, had it back here for 6 months, and then moved it there. It lasted there about 8 months, and then out to the Grove. It was there about almost a year until it got moved. And Samotis and one of his buddies wanted it at their ranch out in Safety Harbor, and they moved it out there and
that's where it went. That's no shit. That's where I think I skated that ramp. I thought it was,
but it was they put it on a fucking hill and didn't level it. And like, you idiots, what the fuck did you do?
That's fucking crazy, Dave, that you said that, because I thought I skated it when it was at the Groves by our house right there in Virginia, like you were saying, and then when it went to Safety Harbor, that's where I think I sprained my elbow as a kid, backside boneless. I hung up, but that was your ramp. Fuck!
Yep. Started in my backyard. It was a good run.
So wasn't Samotis the same age as you, Jimmy? Were you guys about the same age at that time?
A little older.
A little older.
Yeah, I think Tony was my age, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was either 68 or 69 that he was born. Yeah, I think he and I were the same age.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 years, you guys are.
Yeah,
he was a ripper.
When Jimmy was 6, I think Tony was 8 or 9.
I know George had mentioned he wants to find all the Greeks, all the young kids that were so hot back in the day, and see what's happened with them and what's going on with their lives. That'd be a fun little story.
So Dave, just to add to your thinking that it was Uncle Wiggly, I see 3 little indentations right there, which were
Yep.
top rivets that Uncle Wiggily put in the noses of all their boards.
Yep.
So I think you're right.
Nose bones.
No. It's
I
not.
went through a few of them.
They were pop rivets, Ed,
Yeah.
that were actually put all the way through the board
Yeah.
for impact, as opposed to putting a nose bone on a board.
Save the nose.
Full.
Sorry, nerd shit.
I like the little split there, but the last 6 inches of that 9.5 feet. They had to work hard for that.
Oh yeah, dude.
That-
That was 1 foot of kink and like not level plywood. You know? No, they could probably popped off of just right there.
There's always spots on the ramps where you go and you don't go.
So maybe we need to do the next Olympics. We have to have off-kilter ramps and just make it tough for people.
They're all
instead of
like that.
Everything perfect.
I actually skated this ramp when it was in the orange groves, and that's when I knew that I was not going to be skating well. That was the end, because I went to skate that ramp and then it rained and we're like, oh, we'll skate it, and then it turned. Oh, we got it.
Ah, see, man, that's okay, Dave. Share your screen. I'm going to stop sharing so you can actually show yours, man.
Down at the bottom in the middle, green button.
So you see those 3 little points. Can you share, Dave?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, I see it.
I can see it.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, look at them all. All right.
Yeah, check this.
You
bad
pick
boy
this.
out.
You got to pick which screen.
What board?
Ooh,
Oh, is that the board?
That's an Uncle Wiggly.
that's a great picture, but that's just your desktop.
Yeah, you gotta select the right screen there.
All right,
When
where
when
am
you
I
hit share
going?
screen,
Media
it gives you
controls.
options.
All right,
You want
what
to share
am I
your
on?
If I was that guy right there, I wouldn't have stopped. I would have cut you off.
Oh, who? That dude on the left?
Yeah, I would have cut you off. I wouldn't have backed off. I would have cut you off.
Oh no, because that red board right there is heavy and will hurt you. Go ahead. That's a harbor.
Oh, fuck yeah. Look out, boy. Oh, yeah.
All right, what the hell is going
They
on?
come
here?
pre-waterlogged.
Stop sharing and then hit share again, Dave, and then it'll ask you what screen to share. Actually, you know what? Don't share your screen. Don't share your screen. Just
You guys get the picture.
yeah.
God, look at that thing.
I know. I want to set it up.
Look at the top of it. Let's see the top. Is it concave a nose, or is it just
Very,
or is it-
very slight concave. Very
So
slight.
the
Well,
nose is not curved at all? There's no dish.
Oh, it's flat.
Well, it's got a little concave, but it's
Just a little.
not now.
It's got as much concave as Clearwater had vert. It's
And Dave, I do have the trucks.
That's
I do have the trucks for that board for you.
a good one, Ed.
All right. How
So
much-
Dave,
how
you
much
went
do
from
I
an
have to pay?
8-year-old to a 16-year-old, and that was quite an adventure for a young fellow.
Yep. Certainly was, Phil.
No pizza grip on that board, though. The pizza
What's
grip.
that?
No pizza grip tape on that board.
No, I used some of that for a bit.
the
My thumbs still hate me.
Ended
Yeah.
by then. Pizza grip had ended by
That was the
then.
gnarliest shit, huh? God damn.
Oh, do an air. Oh, fuck.
the round pieces with the big gnarly
Yeah, they were grinding
pepperoni
wheels.
and sausage looking things.
Now,
First thing ever.
Dave, did you ever talk to your teachers in school that you were doing this? Did they ever apply it to any of their lessons, or you were just a rebel?
No.
I went to out in San Francisco. I didn't really talk about my schools, but I went to some trippy schools out there. I went to this really fantastic academic school called School of Arts and Sciences. It was a bunch of hippies, but and then urban school, and then the Mobile School of San Francisco, which basically jumped in a Greyhound bus and headed to Mexico for 6 weeks. They let me bring my surfboard and skateboard with me. I got to skate around in Mexico City and
Wow, that's
surf in San Blas for a week.
wow.
Yeah,
And this was a legitimate school, or what?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they didn't have any legit as in. What's a legit school?
I have no idea anymore.
Exactly. I learned more on that 6-week trip in Mexico than I did in any educational setting probably ever.
You learned how to say cerveza? What was the deal there?
Oh, I learned how to tell women they're beautiful. That's why, that's why I was, well, anyway.
It's been a great show. Ed, you want to wrap this sucker up here? We should do this again, though. This has been fun.
Well, we got more to say, and George wants to join us. It's my fault because he thought it was going to be Wednesday, even though I believe the invitation said Tuesday. Everybody said Tuesday.
I replied today saying, today.
Yes. So George is going to want to chime in. And Jimmy, thanks for coming. Thank you for watching the Skateboarding Bros Show. You're watching the Skateboarding Bros Show. Stories from the pioneers of skateboarding about the history and the fun of the sport we love.